Alrighty, good day everybody, welcome. So the new set for TFT is about to come out. It's a great time to jump into the game for the first time or to come back to it. This is going to be a beginner's guide, so I'm not going to assume any previous knowledge of how to play the game or anything in the genre. We're just going to be going through the basics in this video, and then in some other videos I'm going to do some more detailed guides on some specific strategies you can play. But this is going to be the absolute basics and fundamentals. So to play the game, it's just in the League of Legends client. You can make an account for free. You can make an account on any region, so you can play with your friends or whichever region you like. And yeah, that's the process to queue up a game. So yeah, accounts completely free. It's a completely free game. It's one of the advantages. You never have to buy anything. There's no buying champions or anything like that. Completely free game. It's only cosmetics that you buy. And yeah, you can make fresh accounts and play straight away. There's no grind to level up, anything like that, like there is for League. So, yep, so you jump in the queue. Definitely recommend playing normal games for quite a while when you're starting out, just to get used to it. But you can always jump into ranked, play on another account, play some ranked there. If you realise you've improved quite a lot, you could start a fresh account, do your placements again, whatever you want really. Queue's a little bit longer because I'm on the PBE at the moment. The game's about to go live on the normal servers in a couple of days' time. But I'm playing at the moment just at the end of the PBE. So, yeah. You can look forward to release. It'll be on mobile as well. I'm playing on the PC client, which is a little bit better for higher level play. But the mobile client perfectly functional. Lots of people play on that as well. It's great if you've got... It takes about 30 minutes per game. So if you've got a spare 30 minutes, you want to jump on your mobile, you're welcome to as well. Alright, so this is the first screen we'll see as the game loads. There's a lot going on, can be a bit overwhelming, so I'm going to go through what we're looking at here. We're looking at series of units. So the first carousel, this is going to reappear each stage. So we're on stage 1-1. So there's going to be one of these carousels per each level. So each time this goes up to 2, 3, there's another carousel. All the carousels are like this with units, and they're each holding an item. As you can see, that's a unit and it's holding its item above its head. So this time, all of the units are going to be the weaker ones, the 1 cost, it's the grey circle. More expensive units would have different circles, going green, blue, purple. So these are all 1 cost units and they're each holding an item. Sometimes all of the items will be the same. Sometimes the items will be like themed, like they'll all be the defensive ones. We're seeing here totally random carousel. We've got basically one of every item. So the sword is attack damage, the rod is ability damage, the armor is physical defense, the cape is magic defense, the belt is health, the bow is attack speed, and the gloves are critical chance. And so any 2 of these items, when combined, will make a finished item. So these are component items, and any 2 make an item. For example, these 2 would make Hand of Justice, which gives you a bit of extra damage and a bit of healing from doing damage. The sword and the gloves makes Infinity Edge, which enhances your critical attacks, and so on. So there's combinations for any 2 of these items, and there's also a spatula item, which is a bit more advanced, and that makes a trait appear on your unit. But we'll get to that. So at the carousel, the first carousel, everybody goes at once. Everybody gets to just run in, move their little fella in, right-clicking to move him in, and pick up whichever unit you get to first. Subsequent carousels are going to be ordered based on who has the least health goes first. But this first one is a total free-for-all. You do your best to get the item that you want. Sometimes you won't, and that's the nature of it. I got the item I wanted, which was this tier for the composition I'm going to be playing. But yeah, based on which comp you want to run or plan on running, there's some items will be better than others. You get like a priority of which ones you prefer getting. And usually the unit doesn't matter too much. So we're now at the actual game. Alright, so this is our first look at the board. So we've got our bench, which is where Tom Kench here is starting. He's on the bench. So these are units that you've purchased but are not actually playing. They're not going to participate in the battle. And then this is the battlefield. So it's the 4x7. These little hexagons are each squares where 1 unit could be placed. And when the battle starts, they fight by themselves. So you only interact before the round starts by placing the units, and then you can place items onto units. For 1-2, you don't have any choices. You don't have to worry. You automatically win, and it'll put the unit in for you if you don't, but I'm putting it in manually. I'm placing him in the middle. Tahm Kench is a frontliner unit. He's like a tank, so you want him up front. And so 1-2 plays out by itself. There's 3 of these creep rounds at the start. We can see 1, 2, 3 of the rounds coming up are going to be creep rounds. And they're to collect these little orbs. So the grey orbs can have either just gold, or they can have a unit inside like this. And then the blue orbs contain an item. And so we got a sword. So we've now got 2 items, and we got a unit. Now we're looking at our first shop. So every single round after 1-2, for the rest of the game, each round you'll be presented with a fresh shop, which is 5 different units that you can buy. A couple of things that decide which units are going to be here. So the major one is what level you are. So I'm currently at level 2, and you're going to progress as we go through the game. But that means that I have a 100% chance of seeing 1 cost units. See, these cost 1 gold, and they're grey. As we level up by getting XP, we're going to see more of the 2 cost units, and then we'll start seeing 3 cost, 4 cost, and eventually 5 cost as you get to higher level. The way you get to higher level is you automatically are going to gain 2 XP every round. So next round, no matter what we do, will be level 3. We can also buy XP for 4 gold, and then we can spend 2 gold to refresh the shop, and that'll show us a new shop with the same odds based on what level that we are. And we can see how much gold we have here, and I'll show you a little more about the economy later. But each round you're going to earn some amount of gold. And you also earn gold for beating an opponent that's a player. And you can get gold from the drops from minion rounds, such as this one. So I've just sold the Tahm Kench. Let's see that again. So I put my new units in. I'm putting units in that have this Astral synergy. You can see their art style suggests that they're going to be in the same trait. And then if you ever right click on units, you can see all of its attributes. So these both have the Astral attribute, which is why I'm going to play them. And I don't need Tahm Kench anymore. So I'm going to drag him, and I can drag him down here to sell. You can also just use hotkeys. You can press E over them, but a lot of people like the clicking and dragging so they can like change your mind at the last minute type of thing. But either way works. So I'm selling him, releases his item. So I now have these 2 components, and I could combine them if I put them both on the same unit. They'd turn into a completed item. But I don't really want that completed item at the moment, so I'm going to hold on to them. I'm not going to place them both. So these are my item bench, which is just the items I haven't used yet, and these are both components. I'm going to buy another unit because it has another trait that I'd like, which is Mage. As you can see, I've got 1 Mage, which is Vitamir. So yeah, these traits are the major thing informing how you build your team. You generally want to be pursuing at least 1 or 2 traits to be leveled up. And as you can see, they're currently grayed out because I don't have enough of any of them to turn them on. I don't have 2 Swift Shots, I don't have 3 Astrals, and I don't have 3 Mages. But I will be getting 3 Astrals as soon as possible because that's kind of the point of what I was going for this game. I have a 3rd Astral on the bench, so I'll be able to make that. And I've just got another component, which is the Negatron Cloak, which is the magic defense item. And yeah, so now I'm putting in my 3rd Astral. As you can see, the trait's lit up. It's bronze because it's at the weakest level at the moment. All of these rounds are basically free as long as you buy some units. Have some units in. It's almost impossible to lose. I got another unit there. Didn't get any more components. I'm not going to sell the unit because it doesn't matter. Okay, now we come to Augments. Augments are carrying over from last set. If you did play a bit of last set, you'll be familiar with them. But for those who aren't, we get 3 choices of Augments throughout the game. So our first choice is now, just after we beat the creeps. And then there'll be another choice in round 3 and another choice in round 4. So you're given a choice out of 3 Augments each time. And you have 1 chance to reroll throughout the match. So if I use this reroll now, I wouldn't be able to reroll my 2nd or 3rd pick. But as it is, I'm happy enough with one of these picks. These are grey Augments. So the Augments also have tiers. The grey ones are the weakest, so they matter the least. The gold, middle, and then there's platinum, prismatic, they're called. It's like a diamondy effect, and those are the most important Augments. You're most likely to get grey Augments, but you can get any combination of the 3. More or less, there is a list of possibilities, but you could always prepare that maybe the next Augment will be gold or prismatic, or it'll be another grey. whichever. Generally not as good to re-roll greys because they're not as impactful. And you might see a gold or prismatic later and really want to re-roll to get a better choice. So, almost never re-roll greys. I'm going to pick this one, which is just fine. It's not particularly exciting or great for my comp, but it's not bad either. I'm going to have units that don't have items. And so that will make them have more magic resist and armor. So we're now getting ready for our first player combat. We're on 2-1. So we picked our augment is this cube, but then we're going to have a battle. And all of this round will be battles, and then a creep round at the end, and the carousel in the middle. So we put some items on our units based on what they do. Varus is an auto-attacking kind of unit, so he can have a sword and deal more damage. Vladimir wants to cast spells, so we're giving him the mana item. And then we're going to build a completed item based on that when we get another component that we want. The cape, we don't really need to put on anything. We don't want to finish an item by putting that on Vlad or Varus. And we're not going to put it on Skarner because he's getting more magic resist from having that augment and having no items attached. Plus we might end up using the cape on one of our other units. So if you look at our gold, we've got 6 gold at the moment. So the breakpoints for gold is to finish with a multiple of 10 up to 50. So for every 10 gold you have when the round ends, you earn 1 gold of interest. It's encouraging to not spend all of your money immediately. You want to save some of it up. As we can see, we lost that combat round. That's okay. I'm expecting to with this composition. We find another astral unit, and we're trying to get up to 6 astrals eventually. So we're definitely going to buy that. And we're now in range of making 10 gold. So the consideration now is especially because we're losing and we're not trying to make sure that we win, we're not going to spend extra gold. We're going to just make sure we save up to 10. So we're going to sell one of these units if we lose, which we probably will, because we're playing a weaker board to try and have more success later on. We could also buy experience. If you're not trying to stay low level and max economy, you often would buy experience before 2-1 to increase your chances of having a win streak. But my strategy at the moment is just going to be to lose every round of this. Because it's more controllable and it guarantees you good economy to kind of re-roll, spend lots of gold in stage 3. So I'm going to lose. Unfortunately, don't kill a unit. So the more units of my enemy that survive, the more damage I take. Take 2 damage per enemy. At this point, it'll scale up to be more as we progress through stages. So see, I had 10 gold, so I earned a gold of interest. So I've now got quite a nice amount of gold. I don't have any good units to put in here, so I'm just putting in another astral. Doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, we can't get to 20. Unless we won and sold both of these, but we don't really want to sell astrals because we're trying to get them up to high stars. So something to point out about buying units is every time you have 3 copies of a unit, they combine into a stronger version of that unit. That'll have better stats, it'll have more health, and its spell will be better in some way. So it might be a bigger shield for Skarner, it might deal more damage, it might target more enemies, it might stun for longer. Whatever it is, always combining to make a 2-star copy of a champion makes them superior in basically every aspect. So that's why we collect multiple copies of these champions, and it is part of what the Astral Synergy is doing, is it gives us shops that will have more Astral units so that we can get more copies of them and make them stronger quicker. So we're watching our units battle, so they each have a spell. Every unit has 1 spell that it casts when the blue bar fills up. Some units don't use the mana system though, but every unit that does, it has that blue bar filling up. And when it's full, it casts its spell like Varus just did. Varus's one stuns them briefly and then spreads out. That's a much better loss because we only had 2 units surviving, so we took less damage. So that's the ideal loss when you're trying to loss streak. So we're coming last. We can see our health is the lowest here out of everybody. So we'll get first pick on the carousel. So you see us and the second lowest health, we get to go first. And we're first access. And then it'll go in pairs based on the leaderboard position of how much health you have. And ties are split randomly. So you could be either side of these ties. So we got the item that we wanted, which was a rod. So we're going to make our first completed item, which is going to be Archangels. I'm going to put that on Vladimir because our strategy at the moment, this game, is just going to be to make a Vladimir 3 stars quickly. And have him deal a lot of damage while also being a frontline. Because he can be quite tanky and he heals himself when he casts his spell. So it's a nice solid strategy for beginners, definitely. It's best to try to just stick to one strategy as you're learning the game. Because a lot of the complexity of the game is in deciding when to switch what strategy that you're playing. And that's what is needed to go to a high level at the game. But when you're just starting out, it's unnecessary to kind of confuse yourself and complicate things more than you need to. So just playing one composition, one, maybe two, if you get a little bored of one. But one over and over is going to be the best way to just learn kind of the fundamental aspects of the game. So I swapped out one of my units. I swapped out Nidalee because I found a Tahm Kench, who is another Bruiser. And as we can see, I've now turned on Bruiser at 2. And that just gives my whole board a little extra health. So that's probably going to help me kill an extra units. I remember I was a little concerned I was going to win this round for a moment there, but luckily this Jinx is 2 stars. As you can see, she's got like a shinier border, and she's a bit larger. She's got that white outline. It's denoting that she's a 2-star. So she's a lot stronger. If we went to the battle stats, we could also see that she's a 2-star. So she did a lot of damage, won the round. It was another good loss though, because we didn't take too much. And now we have the Astral Shop, which was the special. It's got a little border glowy thing going on. And that had lots of astral units in it because of the astral synergy. It's one of the things it does. Is every 5 shops you get a special shop with extra astral units. So we were able to 2-star a unit. We made a 2-star Nidalee. That's going to be a stronger version of Nidalee. And we're just kind of fiddling around with the board here, decide which units are best at the moment. The main points for this composition is going to be level 5 and level 6/7. So I'm going to make a guide going into more detail on playing this strategy, but we're going to be staying at level 5 for a while. We haven't spent any gold other than buying units yet. We haven't spent any on experience, and we haven't refreshed the shop yet. Because we're trying to get up to that 50 gold kind of magic break point. So we had the full loss streak, and as you can see, that means that we're earning an extra 3 gold. So having either a win or a loss streak starts rewarding you with bonus gold at the end of each round, based on how long your streak is. So for 5 or more, we're getting an extra 3 gold per round, which really adds up, especially in the early game when you're trying to like invest and build your economy. And that's going to carry over to the creep round as well. So we're going to beat the creeps, but that doesn't break a win or loss streak. You'll still get the loss streak gold after you beat creeps. So it's really a lot better to have a continuous streak going into the first creep round of stage 2. If I'd had 4 losses and 1 win here, it cost me a lot of gold. It cost me 3 gold this round, or 2 gold this round, and 3 gold the next round. It costs at least 5 gold if you win that round. So it's best to try to keep your streak going. It's a little more of an advanced concept, but yeah, that's just streaks in either direction are good. And you want to maintain them where possible. It certainly motivates you to change your playstyle and maybe spend more gold if you're trying to defend a win streak, for example. So we get to Krugs, and these are quite an important creep round, because unlike stage 1 where you couldn't really lose, you can definitely lose to Krugs. Especially as a beginner player. So you need to be thoughtful about what you're positioning and what you're doing. If you've spent like absolutely no gold up to this point, which is perfectly valid, you now need to spend enough to have a board that can beat Krugs. So I have 3 2-star units now, including my Vladimir with an item. So I'm pretty comfortable that this board is strong enough. If I wasn't, I might actually spend some gold and roll a little bit to hit maybe some better units or some upgrades to make sure that I win. Because losing Krugs is really disastrous. You're missing chances at important item components or an important amount of gold as well. So the other thing to keep in note is that you want to fight the Krugs one at a time. When one of them dies, it'll heal the other 2 back to full health. So if your units are splitting their damage amongst all 3 and then barely kill off one when the other 2 are really low, and the other 2 fully heal, you can lose. Like, that's dangerous stuff. So I'm just positioning to make sure all of my units are going to focus fire this one first. And as long as that happens, it becomes much easier. As long as you kill one Krug first with all of your units attacking them, then you don't really need to worry that you're going to win. But it's when you split your units up and you attack all 3 at the same time that you can get into trouble. So as you can see, we kill one. That one you could see healed, but it would have healed from whatever health it was at. So if we'd split our damage, we'll see the healing again. So you see it's a full heal. So if you've split your damage amongst the 3 of them and you barely kill one, you can get them in big trouble. So we want to be focus firing one at a time. Alrighty, so I'm going to skip ahead in the game a little bit and show you 2 last little things for this video. So the first thing is re-rolling augments. As I mentioned, you've got the 1 chance per match to re-roll, and I've now presented with some gold augments, which are stronger, and I don't really like any of them. So I'm going to re-roll, and we get another completely random 3, and I got another 3 that I didn't really like. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Is if you've got like an acceptable choice, you might want to think about just sticking with that, because you could always roll 3 that are really bad for your composition. We're going to skip ahead finally to the last little detail I want to include in this guide, and that's the treasure dragon. So at the end of stage 4, there's a unique creep round where you don't fight anything, and you purely select what your loot is going to be. It's the first time you actually have control over what loot you're going to be getting. Every other creep round is completely random, it's whatever they drop to you. This time I'm going to pick. So every time we get presented with a set of loot, we can choose to take it, or we can spend 1 gold to refresh. So something to keep in mind if you'd like to try and keep more gold available, if you need really specific items to like make your composition work. I get here, I don't really need specific items. I'm kind of like a spatula, but yeah, it's fine. So I'm going to re-roll a couple of times. I'm going to get something that I think is pretty decent and then take it. So you just click, you can press the re-roll hotkey, or you just click on it. Yep, don't like it. Don't like it again. This is pretty decent. I'm going to take this. So that's all I'm going to include in this guide. So this has just been a beginner kind of fundamentals, getting you familiar with the game and how to play it. I'll be making a couple of other guides, particularly one on how to play this composition, because I definitely recommend it for beginner players as one of the simpler ones to get you going. Hope you enjoyed, guys. Likes and subscriptions, obviously much appreciated. And then if you'd like to drop a follow onto my Twitch stream, I'm going to be streaming quite a bit more as the set comes out, for both just to record stuff for YouTube and catalogue me trying to climb back up to Challenger. So thanks very much. See you later.